Hey, what's up, guys? It's Andrew from Are We Alive? And today we're going to be talking about the top 5 reasons my bands failed in the past. Let's get started. All right, so number 1 is not treating it like a business. Now, I'm sure if you've been listening to some of the music industry bros online, you're going to hear this a lot. You're going to hear like, you need to treat it like a business, you need to zero in, do that, and they're right. Bottom line is they're right. When I was young, and naive and filled with hormones and a whole bunch of stupidity, I literally just thought that if I recorded music and it sounded good and I gave it to the right person and they listened to it, they would just be like, oh my gosh, here's this amazing record deal. Here's this $1 million contract. We're going to put you on the road with Trivium, with Iron Maiden. You're going to be touring the United States, everything, And I always compared myself to Trivium's frontman, Matt Heffy, whatever you want to say, because he toured Germany 18. And I was like, damn, I remember being 16 and being like, if I don't tour Germany by 18, I'm a loser. But, that's not realistic expectations. So anyway, you need to treat it like a business. You can't just play shows every weekend and put out some music and expect people to listen to it. It just seems so freaking elusive when you are a band and you're starting out and you want people to listen to your stuff and nobody's listening to it. So here's what I mean by treating it like a business. You need to basically have one, and I'm sure you already do this, and if you don't, you should. You need to have dedicated times to practice with your mates. And I'm not talking about everyone gets together, smokes cigarettes, drinks alcohol, does all that, does nothing. I'm talking about actually get together and grind. I had one guy in my life who really, really got serious about that. And the rest of us just weren't. And he did his best to kind of coach everything along, move things along. And, it just didn't work out because all the other band members were there to just party and hang out and have fun. But no, you need to be serious during that practice time and really making sure what you're playing sounds incredible. It's got to sound good, guys. It's got to sound great live. You got to give people a real show, not just play your songs, because I remember we'd play great sets sometimes, and then the next band would come on, they have all these lights, all these effects, backtracks, and whether you like them or not, whatever your opinion is, and they would just blow us away, even if their music was maybe a little bit more simpler. And it's because they had better showmanship. They took it serious. They treated it like a business. They all, dressed not the same, but they had a thing going on, they had a style. So that's just something to think about. And so that's just practice to shows, but you also need to be taking into account, how are you getting clients or fans, really? But I mean, you could look at it like clients. You need to be getting their emails, which I'm not still doing, but I should be. I did run a mailing list for one of our bands. We would do, here's a pack of gum if you give us our email, which, take with that what you will. Mailing lists are very powerful. You need to be building that relationship with them, not just at the shows, but then taking what you've built at the shows and bringing it onto, your online presence and drawing them to social media and all this. It's a nightmare. I hate doing it. And, but it's just something you got to do. You got to build these relationships. You got to keep up with them online. And you kind of have to coddle them until, things start to snowball. Another thing is money. So we went on tours and we lost a crap ton of money. And the best way to really get around that, from what I saw from other bands, was they would sell enough merch to break even. Now, I'm sure there are people who have been much more successful with tours than we were, but touring, it can be important, but don't just be so quick to do it just because big bands tour. What you really want to do is make sure that you have an audience where you're going to go and tour before you even tour there. And the way you can do that is through something like Facebook conversion ads, which is what I use to share my music with people. And you can check out this guy, Andrew Southworth, has an amazing tutorial on that, an amazing channel. So check out Andrew Southworth. He's got a lot of great information on that. But anyway, so Google or just conversion ads in general, you need some sort of online marketing to figure out, because that's how music works nowadays. To draw people to your catalog, get them listening. You need to be targeting certain areas online and then know, okay, I've got like maybe 1,000 listeners in this location. Maybe we can draw 10% of that to a show, and then you can work it out with the venue owner and everything like that. And then it's getting the flyers out. Don't count on venues to market anything. You're going to have to market it yourself. You get them out there and then, play a show, rinse and repeat. It's a lot of work. And there's millions of videos on YouTube, I'm sure, that could tell you how to do this. All right, so moving on. That was a little bit of a long one, but that kind of segues perfectly into this next one. Pay for play shows. Avoid these like the plague unless it's like a big opportunity or you just want to do it. My bands in the past got stuck in the habit. I remember it literally felt like we had all this progress and we hit this like a wall here and we couldn't get past it. We didn't know what the hell to do next. Pay-for-play shows are a freaking ripoff. You're basically paying your own money because how it's set up is they're like, here's 50 tickets, sell them for $20, $25 a pop, and you could play this big show. And normally they'll try and take some band you never heard of and throw it in your face on how they're big, and this could be so, great exposure for your band. And sometimes that's true, but most of the time it's not at all. I've only had maybe one good pay-for-play experience, maybe two, and I played a lot of pay-for-play shows. So what you're doing basically, since you don't have a good fan base yet and no way to really contact them if you're not building a mailing list or any of that stuff, is you're asking your friends and your family, hey, can you come out to this show? Can you come out again this weekend and spend $20, $25 to come and stand there for 3 or 4 hours and hear the same songs over and over again? Eventually they'll stop doing that, and then you're out of your pay-for-play supply. I mean, now you will get some fans here and there that are really dedicated, but a lot of people, especially when we were doing this, they're broke and they don't have $20, $25 to spend on you every single weekend. Just try to avoid it, because then I've literally gotten a paycheck, cashed it, given it to the promoter, my whole week pay, and I was just like, good, are we even? Can we play the show? And hundreds of dollars. And it's just ridiculous. Nobody should have to do that. You should be getting paid to get up there. Now, I understand the whole you gotta earn it and all that kind of crap, but there are other places that you can work with to do something a little bit more realistic. Now, something I did to get around this, eventually, we would make deals with the venue owner, and that's who you primarily want to be talking to about this and being like, look, you guys, I'm gonna try and guarantee you 20 to 30 heads. Let's just say that. Now, we charge them. Can we charge them this much at the door? $5, $10. We get to keep the door, but you are going to get so much money through alcohol sales. You got to think of ways to where it could benefit you and them, and you have to finesse, for lack of a better term. That's what you got to do. You got to work with these venue owners. Another thing is you could throw your own shows if you find places. I've rented out spaces and thrown my own shows, DIY shows, and these were pretty huge in Denton, Texas for a little while. So there are ways around this, but basically try to get it to where you could get in front of as many people as possible, give them a good time, and make sure the venue owner's taken care of and you are taken care of. You need to be taken care of. You can't be spending your paycheck begging your mom, dad, friends, and family to come to every show because it's going to make your career. It's not. It is a ripoff. Avoid them like the plague, especially avoid label showcases. They are a complete waste of your time. I got one A&R rep who followed us after a label showcase and ended up just turning into him having us deliver him things, which I won't get into detail, but that is what you want to avoid. It never turned into anything. It was the carrot on the stick in front of you constantly. Avoid it, avoid it, avoid it. Label showcases, rip off. They're not going to sign you. They're not. They're going to take your money. That's one of the ways dying labels are still taking your money, is by saying, hey, these pre-sale, because it's all it is pay for play, just with more money. And they know that they could tell you that they could do so much more for you, because they'll have a guy come out for about 5 seconds and be like, yeah, you guys did good. You could work on this. You could work on that. And you're all like, oh my gosh, this guy's giving us some real insight. The guy doesn't give a shit. He's gone. So that's it. Avoid that. Throw your own shows. I mean, you are your own business. Start it up and do what you got to do to hustle and get people in front of you. Anyway, I know I am just going on. This is going to be a long video. Let's move on. The arrival syndrome. So I heard this from working at a life insurance company, because I'm also a video guy. I worked for a life insurance company, in a book called Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. R. Nelson Nash describes something is called the arrival syndrome. Now, you're going to hear a lot of finance bros and stuff if they're talking about infinite banking, talking about that. That's something else. But if you do want a properly structured dividend paying whole life insurance policy, you should look at James C. Nethery and Associates. Anyway, shameless plug, but let's talk about the arrival syndrome. What does it mean? It means the feeling that you've arrived. So this typically happens a few years into a band doing the local thing. Maybe they got a little bit of buzz, maybe they're getting listeners online, and then it just kind of stagnates. And everyone starts drinking, everyone's having a good time. There's not really a direction or a goal anymore. And everyone's, you're just kind of in the cycle of things, and things are good. Maybe you got a girlfriend because of it or something, so things are looking great. You thinking, I did it, I made it, shit, but you didn't. There's still a big ladder to climb if you want to do this for a living, because nothing lasts forever, especially not that cycle. So don't, and the arrival syndrome also comes with the ego too. I've played with many bands who come in there and they think they're too cool for school and they won't even talk to you. And no one knows who they are. And even if someone did know who they are, like I was backstage at Warped Tour in 2015 when my band Sacred Sound played it. And you know, I saw a lot of egos and stuff, but I also saw some big bands, big acts that I'm not going to name, but you would know them if I did, who were very humble and very kind and very sweet. And we just kicked it with them, and I was starstruck. I couldn't believe how humble and nice they were. So never act like you're too cool for school, because that just makes you very uncool. So you haven't arrived. You could always do better. Stay humble and keep pushing yourself forward. Speaking of arrival syndrome, let's get into this one. I was really guilty of this. The party band. You don't want to become a party band. What do I mean by that? So we got in a habit of avoiding those pay-for-play shows eventually by putting on shows on land out in the sticks. And, you know, we're all of drinking age at this point in time, most of us. But anyway, we had it set up to where basically people would come out, we would have free drinks with tips, and because a couple of our girlfriends or people we knew were bartenders, and then they would run the bar, they'd get tips. It was great. People would drink. Then everyone would drink and drink and drink. It doesn't matter what you're playing. They're having a good time. You think you're having an amazing show because everyone's drunk. But no one really retained listening to the music. Everyone's just drunk. Before you know it, you're drunk. You're playing. You don't even know what you're playing, but it sounds good to you. Next day you see a video and you did terrible. Then you fall into this trap to where you need to be drunk before every single show. Avoid that at all costs, because I got to the point to where I couldn't get up on stage unless I had 2 or 3 shots in me. And that's not good. You need to be able to play sober. I mean, a shot and you good, 2, 3 shots. I've had it to where I'm seeing double before I'm getting up on stage. That is not good. You need to not rely so heavily on drugs, alcohol, anything like that to get the job done, or you will eventually lose sight of what you're doing. You see it happen with big name artists all the time. It definitely happens to local artists. So avoid that. Don't become a party band where everyone's just like, oh, we're going to go see this band because it means we're all going to get drunk. Don't do that. You want it to be about your music or whatever it is you're trying to sell to your potential fans. So just avoid that, guys. All right. So next, and the last thing, let's just talk about defining success. What is it that you really want out of, your music career, like with a band and everything? What I wanted when I was 17 or 16 or 15 even, 15, and is when I started doing all this, is I wanted to become the next, at the time I was really into Trivium, still am into Trivium, but at the time I was also into Bullet from a Valentine, Kill Switch. I wanted to be one of those, I wanted to be one of these metalcore bands that blew up, touring all over the place, looking hot, looking great, playing big shows, making some real hits and heavy metal music and all that kind of stuff. And that's great, but it's not realistic for everyone. Not saying you shouldn't try and shoot for that, but you only really fail if you've set the bar too high. Sometimes it's best to set the bar to realistic expectation level, get there, and then move on to the next thing. Something you'll hear a lot of these big famous bands saying, bands that, I've looked up to over all the years, is that they never thought they would get where they were. They shot lower, and they would just climb the rung. And they were also freaking talented musicians, great, and they treated it seriously for the most part. My definition of success has dramatically changed. Mine now is, if I create music and people listen to it, I'm successful. And I do that by online marketing, getting people to listen to the music and they like it, and I'm building something here, and that's how I define success. So if you're a listener and you're watching this, I thank you so much. If you just found this video somehow, even though this is like the first video this channel will ever post, I just want to say thanks for watching. I hope that some of this information was helpful to you and that this video didn't go too long. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll answer them. I'll try and get back to every single one of you. And let me know if there's something I missed. And remember, there's a lot of great information on YouTube about this exact topic. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and peace.
All right, a circle pit right when this thing breaks out.
No. Circle pits are too mainstream. I want a rectangle pit.
Rectangle pit. Hexagon. All right.